Okay, let's jump right in. Ever wonder, what happens when really cutting-edge tech tries to hit a press point that's actually affordable?
Yeah, it's always a fascinating balance, isn't it?
Totally. Because today, we're doing a deep dive into something really interesting. The upcoming Google Pixel 9a. Our info for this sneak peek, it comes from My Fusion Mobile. And honestly, it gives us this really intriguing look at a phone that's, well, not even out yet, still marked coming soon.
Very much under wraps, officially speaking.
Exactly. So our mission here is pretty clear. We want to pull out every key bit of info, try to separate the solid rumors from, near facts, and give you a really concise but thorough picture of what Google's cooking up.
That sounds good.
So look, maybe you're thinking about a new phone, or you just follow mobile tech trends, or you just love knowing what's next. This deep dive is definitely for you.
We'll try and clarify what seems solid, what's still a bit speculative.
And what it all means for that super competitive mid-range market, right?
And I'll be here trying to connect the dots, put the specs into context. Why should you care about this detail or that feature in your day-to-day use?
Perfect. It's all about that real-world impact. Okay, so first things first. The Pixel 9a's identity, where does it sit?
Well, it's clearly Google's next mid-range Pixel. They're aiming for that sweet spot, right? Performance features, but also keeping it affordable.
And that mid-range positioning seems quite deliberate.
Oh, definitely. The source, My Fusion Mobile, even mentioned a rumored Australian price, around $600 AUD. That screams competitive.
Right, making it attractive. And it's still coming soon, but they're hinting at a fall 2024 release, even with no official word yet.
Yeah, the buzz is definitely building for a launch later this year. Seems plausible.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty then. The core specs, what's under the hood? OS and chipset first, Android 14, obviously.
Straight out of the box, yeah.
And powered by the Google Tensor G3 chip.
Yeah.
That's the 4-nanometer one.
And that's significant. Putting the Tensor G3, Google's own chip, into a mid-range phone, it's about more than just speed.
What do you mean?
Well, it means Google's bringing its AI smarts, its computational photography magic, stuff usually kept for the high end, down to this price point.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about running apps smoothly, which it should do.
Right, you should get smooth performance fine for most gaming too, but it's those AI features, the photo processing, the smart assistant stuff.
Yeah.
That's where the G3 really shines, potentially. It can make it feel quite premium.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk display. Because for a lot of people, that's, the main event. This looks pretty impressive for mid-range.
It really does on paper. We're talking a 6.1-inch OLED.
Nice size. And 1080 by 2400 resolution, so sharp enough. But there's more, right? HDR support.
Yep, high dynamic range for better contrast and colors. And 120 hertz refresh rate.
Whoa, 120 hertz, that's smooth.
Super smooth scrolling, yeah. Plus 2000 nits peak brightness, which is incredibly bright. Great for outdoors.
And Gorilla Glass Victus for protection, always on display. I mean, that spec list reads like a flagship from maybe a year or two ago.
Exactly. For a mid-range phone, that kind of display package, the OLED, the high refresh rate, the brightness, it really stands out. Google seems to be prioritizing that visual experience for you.
Okay. And you can't talk Pixel without talking cameras. It's kind of their thing.
The main event for many, yeah.
So the main setup is listed as a triple camera. 64 megapixels plus 13 megapixels. Features like dual LED flash, pixel shift, auto HDR, panorama. The usual suspects, but likely very well executed, video-wise. 4K at 30 or 60p's, 1080p at various speeds, and crucially, OIS optical image stabilization.
Which makes a huge difference for shaky hands or walking shots. Keeps things smooth.
Yep. And the selfie camera, 13 megapixels, auto HDR, panorama, and it can do 4K video at 30p's too.
Look, the megapixel counts are one thing, but with Pixel, it's always about the software, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those algorithms, the computational photography, now boosted by the Tensor G3.
Right. That's the magic ingredient.
Exactly. So you should really expect this thing to take, well, stunning photos and videos, even when the lights go down. That's usually where Pixel pulls ahead.
So if you're that person always taking photos at gigs or, trying to get a good shot of your cat in a dim room.
This could be a serious contender for you, a real pocket powerhouse for photography, potentially.
Okay, great photos need space. Memory and storage, what are we looking at?
The reports say 8 GB of RAM, which is plenty for smooth multitasking. Switching between apps shouldn't be an issue.
And storage.
Options of 128 GB or 256 GB internally.
Okay, decent options, but the source explicitly says no memory card slot.
Yeah, that's pretty standard these days, especially for Google. You got to pick your storage up front or rely on the cloud. Not a huge surprise, but something for you to keep in mind.
Definitely. All right, connectivity and all the little extras. How does it keep you linked up?
Seems very comprehensive. All the network bands. 2G, 3G, 4G, LTE, and 5G.
And the 5G covers the main types, SA, NSA, Sub-6.
Yeah, pretty much global coverage there. Plus, it mentions mmWave specifically for the USA, which is that super fast, shorter range 5G. So you should be covered for fast data.
Good. What about local connections? Wi-Fi? Bluetooth?
Top tier stuff. Wi-Fi 6E, that's the latest standard for faster, less congested Wi-Fi. Bluetooth 5.3, also the latest.
And navigation, GPS.
Oh yeah, so it supports a whole bunch of systems. GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, BDS, QZSS, Navic. Basically, it should find your location really quickly and accurately wherever you are.
Plus NFC for payments, I assume?
Yep, NFC is listed. And interestingly, an under-display fingerprint sensor optical type that feels quite premium.
Yeah, moving away from the rear sensor. Any other notable sensors?
The usual suspects. Accelerometer, gyro, proximity, compass, and even a barometer. So it's got the full suite for everything from fitness tracking to navigation assistance.
Okay, good. No FM radio or infrared port mentioned, but those are pretty niche now anyway.
Yeah, not common anymore. Oh, and USB Type-C 3.2 for the port.
Right, the modern standard. Okay, let's talk power. Battery life is always key.
The source mentions a 400 and 492 milliamp batteri. So just under 4,500 milliamp. Decent size?
Li-ion. And charging.
Wired charging supports PD 3.0, power delivery 3.0, so it should charge pretty quickly with the right adapter. And it also has wireless charging.
Oh, wireless too. At what speed?
Listed as 7.5 W. Not the fastest wireless charging out there, but still convenient to have.
So that battery size, combined with the Tensor G3's efficiency and Google's software, should hopefully mean solid all-day battery life for you.
That's the expectation, absolutely. Google's adaptive battery features are usually quite good at stretching things out. A full day should be achievable for most users.
All right, aesthetics and those early ratings, what colors are we expecting?
The report lists 4. Obsidian, which is like black, porcelain, which is off-white, bay, which is a blue, and aloe, likely a green. Nice range.
Okay. And My Fusion Mobile gave it some scores. Our rating, how did it fare?
Pretty impressively, actually. Design, 9 out of 10. Display, 9. Camera, a perfect 10.
Wow, 10 for the camera already.
Yep. Features, 9. Connectivity, 9. Usability, 9. Performance, 9. And battery got an 8.
I mean, those are incredibly consistent high scores across the board, especially considering it's not even released. That perfect 10 for the camera really stands out.
It does. Now, these are preliminary ratings, likely based on the specs and expectations, maybe some insider info. But still, getting consistent 9s and a 10 is a very strong signal.
Signals a potentially very well-rounded phone, right?
Exactly. Especially highlighting that camera strength, which, let's face it, is a huge Pixel selling point. It suggests they think Google's going to nail it again. High potential for user satisfaction based on this.
Okay, so wrapping up the practicalities, availability, where might people actually get this?
Well, the source, My Fusion Mobile, suggests it'll be available through online retailers like themselves, presumably. That makes sense for a Pixel A series phone.
Right. So putting it all together, where does this leave the Pixel 9a in the grand scheme of things?
It looks like it's positioned squarely to compete hard in that mid-range space. It offers features like that display and the expected camera performance that punch above its likely weight.
Those software optimizations from Google are key too, you think?
Absolutely. That's often the secret sauce that sets Pixel apart from other phones with similar specs. It's aiming for value, bringing premium touches without that full flagship price for you.
Okay, so let's distill this down for everyone listening. The Google Pixel 9a, based on these leaks, it's really shaping up to be, well, a pretty compelling package, wouldn't you say?
I'd agree. Feature-rich. Seems like it'll be high-performing for its class.
With that standout camera we keep coming back to, a really impressive display.
Solid battery life expected.
And all hopefully at a price that makes sense for a lot of people.
Yeah, so what here? The big takeaway for you is really about Google's strategy. They're clearly trying to push more premium features and their software magic down into this more accessible tier.
Disrupting that mid-range market a bit.
Exactly. It's about giving you quality, maybe even a taste of the flagship experience, especially with the camera and AI, without needing top dollar. Getting value without breaking the bank.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you to chew on. If a phone positioned as mid-range, like this Pixel 9a, is potentially offering a 120 Hz OLED, the Tensor G3 chip, and maybe the best camera in its class for, say, around $600 Australian.
Which is roughly, what, $400 US maybe? Give or take.
Right. If that's the package, what does that actually do to the line between mid-range and flagship going forward?
It definitely blurs it, doesn't it?
Yeah. How might your own expectations as a buyer for what a smartphone offers at different price points,
Right.
how might that continue to change in the next few years?
It's a great question. The value proposition seems to be constantly shifting.